What up, my people? Welcome back to Let's Talk Podcast with Dustin Calloway and friends. So yeah. I know it look a little different today, but I'm only hopping on here for a minute to just talk to the people and give them a little update on what's really been going on. So I'm not gonna hold y'all for a long time. I'm not. So if you're there right now, smash that like button. Please subscribe. Please, follow the channel. And drop a comment down below if you got any questions, right? So, without further ado, I'm not going to hold y'all, like I said, for a long time. It's just, I wanted to get on here and talk to y'all and keep y'all updated on what's really going on with the channel. So, for those of you that know, a few weeks back, I brought on a partner of mine to basically, join up with me and tag team this channel with me, right? As far as the podcast is concerned, just to tag team the podcast and keep this thing going, you know what I'm saying, to make it liven it up, right? So I believe the issue that we ran into, right? Well, we both know, we talked about it. And the issue that we ran into, honestly, is this channel, this podcast, Let's Talk Podcast, from the beginning, it was always me, right? It was always my baby. It was always just me getting on here and kind of just going off on whatever topic that I wanted to talk about, right? And instead of starting a new channel, right? Instead of starting a new podcast with me and my guy, we kind of just ripped this one apart a little bit and just kind of threw bits and pieces together. And we just started going, with this podcast. And we was just doing it like that. You know what I'm saying? Not thinking about, okay, getting in alignment with each other to basically make sure that we can both do this, together, based off of what I already put out there in the beginning, right? So, if you've been following, if you've been watching, I kind of in the beginning, I just came across whatever topic that I had, for that day or that episode, I would just go straight through and just punch it straight through, right? And I would just talk about whatever, and I really didn't have to worry about about somebody else sitting next to me and how they would feel about whatever I wanted to talk about, right? And however I wanted to react. So going through that stage of, bringing on a partner to actually, a co-host, not a partner, but just a co-host, to shoot the podcast with me, I dropped the ball a little bit just as far as our vision together, right? So we didn't come together and really sit down and talk about what we both expected from each other, right? And this is not to say that the podcast is over with Brandon. It's not. But I feel like it's only right to keep Let's Talk Podcast with me and whoever I decide to bring on, as far as just someone I want, like a guest or friend. I think it's best if I keep it how it is right now, right? And just bring on guests to talk instead of trying to revamp this podcast and bring somebody else in and kind of call it me and that person's podcast, right? So as far as me and Brandon, we are in talks right now about starting a separate podcast outside of this, right? So in this podcast world here, as far as Let's Talk Podcast is concerned, this is where I feel I want to be free, right? And I've come to realize that I'm not really chasing a commercial bag right now. And that's not to say that that's what Brandon is doing. It's not. But we are two different people, right? And don't get me wrong, the chemistry is there. Everyone saw the chemistry. Everyone knows that chemistry was fire. So, and it is fire. So that's not to say, that there's something wrong with me or him. It's not. It's just we should have came with a fresh start, right? We should have came with a podcast that we both kind of sat down, talked about what we wanted and what we expected out of each other as far as the podcast is concerned, and we should have went from there, right? Versus, like I said, taking what I already I want to say 27, maybe 28 episodes. I deleted a few, versus jumping in there trying to pick up where I left off, right? It was a little weird and a little thrown off, right? And don't get me wrong, I've known my man for quite a few years now, but as you can tell, for any of you that saw the episode, the couple episodes that we put out, it was kind of, we just jumped into it, right? We jumped into it, and for real, the plan just wasn't mapped out right. Put it like that. It wasn't mapped out right. So going forward with this podcast, Let's Talk Podcast is here to stay, and I'm not playing. I told y'all that. Let's Talk Podcast is here to stay. I'm going to keep on doing this podcast. I'm going to keep on jumping on here every Monday. Every Monday, I will have an episode dropping every Monday on YouTube. And I'm going to keep this thing rolling, you know. But as far as me and Brandon, like I said, we are going to do our separate thing, our own thing with the podcast, with our own podcast, right? So be on the lookout for that. You know, we are in talks right now just to figure out exactly, exactly what kind of podcast we want it to be. And we just basically got to come together and map out our ideas for how we want the podcast to flow, right? Because, look, like I said, this has been a learning experience. Like, you know, when I came through the door and I tried this before, I don't even know. Some of y'all probably know if you caught the ones that I deleted before I deleted them. I tried this whole Let's Talk Podcast thing before, right? I tried it before, and I had a terrible intro. I had it was just a terrible background. I had the little sparkly little backdrop, and I was recording. It was just looking bad, man. It was looking bad, right? Like really bad. So I kind of canned that one, right? And I went back to the drawing board, and that's when I came up with this. What you see here, Let's Talk Podcast. You know, I had to revamp the studio. I had to go out and buy a few things to get things to look right. So since the beginning, I always had this solo vision for myself anyway, right? So it only makes sense for me to keep this thing going like this. And I have other people that are coming on, and these are not people that are replacing Brandon. No, but these are people that that I've been in talks with about just coming on as guests, right? And not a co-host, right? Because like I said, Let's Talk Podcast right here with Dustin and Friends, this is going to be me. So it's not guaranteed that I'm going to always have someone on like a guest, right? But more than likely I will. And again, just to go back on a few different things, right, where we kind of differ, right? Me and Brandon, and we didn't map this out, so this is why it did go bad. The way, and I'm going to check myself too here. I definitely got to check myself. The way that I came across on this podcast, for real, the way that I did come across, I came across on certain topics, right? Angry, right? And I was angry because of things that, you know, happened in my life, right? And y'all already know the baby mama stuff, the toxic stuff, and the family stuff. And for real, as far as that stuff goes going forward on this podcast, no more energy. They get no more of the energy from me. And I believe that's where I messed up, you know, jumping into it with Brandon. And, you know, don't get me wrong, that's my man. But he brought it to my attention that the way that I was delivering certain things that I was saying on the show, it could be taken the wrong way, right? And this is not me coming on here saying that, hey, I'm going to dumb this podcast down and I'm not going to be myself like I was before. No. But what I am going to do is I'm going to still be free on here, right? I'm going to still be free, and I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about, right? So it could be racial issues. It could be relationship issues. It could be issues going on with the world. It could be politics sometimes, you know. And I might sprinkle in some entertainment stuff that I feel strongly about and I want to talk about. But it's going to always be what I want to say and how I want to say it. And I feel like, you know, as far as Let's Talk Podcast is concerned, like I said, this is always going to remain my solo show because I want to run it the way that I want to run it. And when you work with a partner, right? Not saying that it's a bad idea, but when you work with a partner, you have a partnership with somebody, it's good to start with a clean slate, right? It's good. So if you're watching this right now and you are thinking about doing a podcast, if you start out solo, stay solo. But if you ever get to the point where you say, hey, I'm going to bring somebody on, it's probably best to go out and create a separate podcast, right? Yeah, and I know there's multiple people that y'all know out there that have separate podcasts, right? So if we take a look at Godfrey, right? Godfrey has his own podcast, and Godfrey We Trust, right? With him and Andre. But also, he's on Lord Jamar's podcast, right? So it's a separate podcast, and over there you get a different Godfrey, right? So he's still strong-minded, opinionated, and all that stuff, but you get a different Godfrey over there versus on his show. On his show, he's free to be who he is. And that's why I'm going to continue to do this thing solo, because I am going to remain myself here, right? And, you know, like I said, a lot of people are not comfortable talking about the heavy stuff, right? And some people, they probably just don't care about talking about that kind of stuff, right? But I do. And the main reason for me, the main reason why I created this podcast was to get out there and address stuff that's going on in the world, right? So I've heard multiple people say, what are you doing, right? So you're talking about it, but what are you doing as far as the stuff that you talk about, right? What are you doing? And honestly, this is what I'm doing. Bringing awareness, right? So what happens with a lot of people, right? We get stuck inside of our families, right? Where you just kind of sit in your family circle or your friend circle and y'all just talk back and forth about stuff, right? And a lot of that stuff that y'all talk about, it be good stuff, man. It be some good shit. For real. It be good shit. But the issue is it stays stuck there. It stays stuck right in there at that table, at that bar, at the cookout. It stays there, right? And that message goes nowhere outside of that box. So what happens? Nothing. We just wake up, a year goes by, and we repeat the same process over and over, right? And there's no awareness, right? And we are in a time now where you can get this stuff that you have up here, that you talk about at those tables, and you can put it right there. You can put it on camera. You can put it on film. You can do whatever, and you can toss it out there to the world. So that's what Let's Talk Podcast is, right? So if I've ever went through anything in life, if I ever thought about something that I think can help the world, I'm going to always put it here. I'm doing what I feel is my part and the best that I can do right now, right? So a lot of people get caught up in, well, if you got money right now to do this, won't you go give a little bit of that to this or a little bit of that to that? But nah, see, my plan is bigger than a few dollars. It's bigger than $5, $10, $20. It's bigger than that. I got a bigger plan, man. And that's what I need a lot of people to understand. That's why this podcast is here, right? It's for me to put a message out there of what I think is a decent way of trying to help people get by in this life, because it ain't easy. It ain't easy. And all of y'all know that. Life ain't easy. But that's my whole idea for this podcast, right? If I went through a struggle in my life, anything, or if I see something crazy going on out there that I feel like I want to talk about, because I'm like, man, this person don't have a clue. If you go over here and you try to do this a little bit, rearrange a little bit of that, rearrange a little bit of this, you'll be all right, and you won't be caught up in that situation. So this is the type of stuff that I want to talk about on Let's Talk Podcast. And I don't want to talk about the one thing that I don't want to do with anything that I'm trying to talk about, or that I want to talk about, or that I am talking about. I don't want to bring negative thinking into it, right? Like, negative thinking to me is saying, hey, you want to do this and you want to do that, but what about this? And this is going to fail because of that, and that's going to fail because of this. No, we don't talk failure. We're not talking about failure. We're going to keep on trying. We're going to fail. We're going to try. We're going to fail. We're going to try and fail. But the key thing is we're going to keep trying over here at this podcast. No negative talk. No giving up. No talking off the edge. Because that's the one thing that I won't do. If I feel like in my soul that I'm trying to do something to change the world and better people, nah, no one's going to talk me off the edge, man. Because we live in this world where, hey, man, shit is hard. Shit is hard. People are going through stuff every single day. But you know what the one thing is? A lot of people don't have nobody to talk to, man. Or they don't have no one to listen to. All you get is go to church. Have faith. Pray about it. Come on, man. Let's be for real. Let's be for real. Is it really working for you? You go to church on Sunday, you go to church on Saturday, Monday, whenever you go to church. It don't matter whatever you believe in, right? Is it working for you, or is it just a temporary Band-Aid, right? So on this podcast, I want to cover real life, real world stuff. And for real, I want to share the stories, right? Because something that I might say, it might save a life, right? Or someone that I bring on as a guest or friend, something that they might say, or something that they will say, or whatever, it might save somebody's life, right? It's so many. The crazy part is about life, we are all out here living it, We are all out here just waking up every day, punching the clock, doing the same thing over and over. But what a lot of people fail to realize is we all have the same problem or similar problems, right? We all have the same problems, similar, whatever. It's all the same. But there's a lot of people out there in the world that don't even know that. They don't even realize that it's somebody right now going through the same thing you're going through, right? But then on the flip side, right, one of them had a solution. They solved it, right? The other one, they still living in it and they hurting, right? And they don't know what this person over here did to help them get up out of it, right? So that's where I want to come in, right? Because a lot of stuff that I've been through in my life, I'm all right now. I'm good, right? Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit up here on this podcast and pretend like I ain't still going through it up here because, yes, trust me, man, come on, man. Go back and watch some of the episodes when I talk about personal stuff, right? About my own life. You see the pain. Or if the video is not up anymore, just think about it, man. You see the pain that was coming out of me, right? And I didn't realize it until, for real, my man Brandon pointed it out like, yeah, man, you going through it, bruh. And my girl, she pointed it out like, hey, you going through it. You going through it. It's coming across like anger. And I'm like, it took a minute. It took a long time for me to really look inside and start looking at myself like, damn, I'm still going through it, right? I'm still going through it. I'm not solving my own problems. I'm just talking about it, but I'm not doing it. Ain't no action behind it, right? That's all action now. So that stuff gets no more love on there. So like I said, if you go back and you look at some of those podcasts, or if you remember, I had that anger in there and I wasn't really solving my problems. There wasn't no action behind it, right? So now going forward, I want to try to work with people through this podcast to put action behind it. And no negative talk, man. No negative talk. All we want to do is we want to talk about something. We're going to talk about some negativity, right? But we want to talk about the flip side of it, is of how to try to get up out of it. How to get up out of there and how to keep moving up, man. Because like I told y'all, I'm not perfect. And if anybody out there think that I think I'm perfect, you crazy. Now, one thing I will say is I'm not an evil person, man. I just can't be an evil person, and that's not who I am. Now, don't get it twisted. Just because I say I'm not an evil person and I may tell you that I'm kind and stuff like that, I think that's the issue with a whole lot of people. And I know I'm jumping all over the place with what I'm talking about, but this is just me clearing my mind out, right? But some people may, get it twisted about me, and they may think that, just because I'm talking about this stuff and talking about how to better the world and talking about how we can heal as people and do this and doing that and doing this, they may take that as a sign of weakness. Don't do that. Don't do that, man. Don't. Kind people, that's the issue with a lot of us, man. A lot of people see our kindness and they take it as a weakness and they try to take advantage of us. And you know what we do? Throughout that process, we still try to remain positive and we still try to remain nice to motherfuckers, right? And then eventually what happens? And this is what I'm learning right now. Eventually, you like, God damn, okay, so we done let these problems stack up on us, and then we flip, right? So, as part of me talking about this right now, again, don't take my kindness for weakness, but again, for the people that are like me, if you do that type of stuff like I do, right? You're just being super nice to people, and you always want to try to find a way to problem solve it, and try to get away from it or get up out of a situation. Listen to me right now. Take that nice hat off, and I'm telling you right now, put a little bit of fire behind yourself right now, because you don't want to end up like me. And I'm not saying that I'm all fried up right now, no, but recently it was pointed out to me, man, that my kindness has been, I've been being used for real. And my kindness, people took advantage of my kindness, man. And I didn't realize it all these years, right? And it came out in fire when I finally decided to snap about it, right? But really, when I should have addressed it at that time, when I decided to play the nice guy. Now, this is not me saying that I'm about to go out there and go crazy on people. No, but just know going forward, no one will ever use me again. No one will ever get the nice guy. Again, I'm not saying that I'm going to be mean, but you're not going to get the nice guy that's going to just brush off something that I know you did me wrong on, right? So you're not going to get that no more. Because, like I said, go back and watch some of the podcasts, the episodes of the podcast. A lot of that anger that I had in here, it came from me trying to be the nice guy in thousands of situations. I'm talking about family situations, relationships. That's what happened. A lot of that stuff, I really did it to myself, right? Because I wasn't addressing the stuff the right way, the way I needed to address it, right? Not necessarily saying that every situation needed a blow up, right? No, but it needed some different words, right? So instead of saying, no, it's all good, because that's what us nice people do, right? Somebody will do something and piss us off, and you know what we do? Oh no, man, it's cool, man, it's cool. But really inside of our mind, we're like, man, this mother, we in here going nuts in the mind, but it comes out as, no, it's cool, bro, it's cool. And don't get me wrong, don't think that for 1 second, just because I was nice in a situation, that I won't put pause on you. Like, don't get it twisted. And that's not me I didn't wake up with violence, but I'm just saying I'm naturally a kind person. Even though you probably, for those of you that see me out and about, this is my natural face. This is how I look, right? So when people see me, they may think that, oh, he's just mean, or he's just a little standoffish. But then when they come up on me and they start talking to me, they start realizing how nice I am, right? And how I'm just trying to be polite and shit. And then that's when that thing kicks in and they be like, oh, well, nice people, you can always do shit to nice people. Nah, not no more. Not no more. It's not happening. So going forward, we're going to fix everything about this podcast, and we're going to get back to doing it the way that I like doing it. And again, for me and my boy Brandon, we going to get to it, bruh. We going to get to it. So we just got to sit down, have a conversation about everything that we want to do on our podcast outside of this, right? So Let's Talk Podcast is me, Solo D, by myself, me and friends. And again, if you want to be a guest on the podcast, if I don't know you, you're not coming to my house, right? If I do know you, let's go. Let's set something up. Let's get on this thing and let's rock, baby. I'm coming with the topic, and if I bring you on as a guest, be ready to rock and roll with that topic. So as far as, topics outside of, what I want to do, I'm really not going to entertain it. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to entertain it. So if you do want to come on to the podcast, yeah, I'll hear you out, right? But what I'm not going to do is, because it's a lot of prep work that goes into this, right? And this is me jumping back to this podcast and explaining how I break things down. It's a lot of prep work that goes into what I actually do, right? So with me and Brandon, we had this thing where we tried to set up segments, right? And we tried to, I'm sorry, I'm rocking the table with the camera, but we had things like, we had different segments set up, and we wrote out stuff and stuff that we wanted to talk about. But kind of what I do on this podcast, you know how I do. I come in, we do a little bit of small talk in the beginning, and I get straight into the topic. I go, close it out, right? So as far as me bringing on guests and stuff like that, I'm not going to bring on guests. Well, prior to me bringing you on as a guest, you will know what the topic is, right? So I'm not going to just surprise you. And if you don't want to roll with it, we'll just move on, right? And I'll fly, But as far as people that do want to come on and be a guest, we're going to have a talk in the beginning prior to you coming on. And we're not going to talk about the whole show, right? I'm going to tell you what the topic is. And whenever we're ready to rock and roll, you come with whatever you got, and let's go. And that's pretty much it, man. And that's the update, because I know for those of you that are subscribed, and if any of you are people that did subscribe because you saw me and Brandon and you are a fan of Brandon, and you don't want to, stay and stick around for this podcast as far as me solo. And like I said, me and Brandon got one coming together, and it's going to be a totally different layout, totally different channel. Feel free to unsubscribe, and I apologize right now for those of you that kind of, subscribe for that reason. No hard feelings. If you want to leave, I'll see you. I'll catch you down the line. Hopefully, if you do want to stay, it's gonna be a good show, man. It's gonna be a good show. I got a lot of different guys coming on. I got a group chat probably with 8 people in it right now, and they all want to be on the podcast, but that's gonna be a little tough to run. So I don't know. It's not tough to run, but it's gonna be really tough having like 8 people on the, well, 9 people, including me, on a screen talking at one time. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. I'm not trying to run that type of podcast where we just got a big group or a big house filled with a bunch of people talking, because for real, when you do that on a podcast, to me personally, what I believe, it's a lot of talking, and a lot of people can get lost. The message can get lost in all that talking, right? So it's not a big production behind us like like the LeBron James show on HBO, right? It's not a big production behind us cutting and editing out everything. It's literally me doing everything here on my own, and that's just gonna make it a little bit too much to run. So I'm thinking when I do bring a guest on, I may bring on maybe one. I'm for sure one, but 1 to 2. So we could have maybe 2 or us 3 talking, or just us 2 talking. But the first show back, when I do have a guest on, is going to be one person, only one person, and that's just to get a good flow, get a vibe for it, just to see how it's going to run. And that person will sit here, and I believe on that episode we are going to go live. We're gonna go live. I fixed up a lot of different things, right, as far as the camera is concerned. As you can tell, I'm not reaching up doing this. Well, I'm sorry, you probably wouldn't even notice that because that's behind the scenes stuff. But I have a different camera setup and all that stuff, so I don't have to worry about time running out, batteries dying, and all that good old stuff. So yeah, when you catch me on the next episode, I should. What is it? Monday? No, this is actually going to be the Monday episode. I'm sorry. This is going to be the Monday episode, so, this is just me checking in with y'all, letting y'all know what's going on. But next Monday, not this Monday coming, the next Monday, I will be in here rocking with a guest, and you all will see a new episode, man. Y'all can get a new episode, a new, fresh, hot episode. And again, I appreciate everyone that has subscribed so far. Please smash that like button, because the like button, what a lot of people don't know is when you smash that like button, it helps with YouTube's algorithm, right? So that's why I always ask people, smash that like button. And even if you don't like it, it's fine. Hit dislike. No hard feelings. I promise you. It's not me being arrogant, but if you don't like something, that's fine. Hit dislike. And also turn on that bell notification, right? So when you turn on that bell notification, every time I go live, every time I post a new video, you all will be notified. Boom, it'll pop up in the feed and let you know I'm here. I am here. So you can tune in immediately, right? And as usual, man, smash that subscribe button. Smash it. Smash it, right? You're looking at this video right now. Smash that subscribe button, man. I'm coming, y'all. But yeah, I believe that's everything that I have. No, you know what? I'm sorry. This little kid upstairs is getting her hair done, so it's going to be a little loud for a second. But let me drop some plugs in there real quick. So as far as, TikTok, I got a TikTok page for this podcast. It is Let's Talk Podcast 2, the number 2, right? That's on TikTok, right? So check it out on TikTok. And you'll get updates there, right? So you'll get some early stuff. You'll get some clips and stuff like that to let you know exactly when I'm going to be dropping a new episode. And also, if you want to go to Instagram, on Instagram, my page on Instagram is Let's Talk Podcast 2021. That's Instagram. Now, on Facebook, if you want to check me out on Facebook, go to Facebook and type in a search bar, Let's Talk Podcast with Dustin Calloway and Friends. Again, Let's Talk Podcast with Dustin Calloway and Friends on Facebook. All right? So until the next time, my people, man, I'm going to catch y'all, like I said, next Monday, my people. Until the next time, peace.